Happy New Year. Thanks for joining me for this first installment of Local Image for 2016. We shared over 50 stories last year and are busy working on all new segments for the all-new season of the show. But before we do, let's take another look and highlight some of our favorite stories from the past year. Let's start with some basic elements like ice, fire, and water, as featured in these Local Image stories from 2015.
Enjoy doing that, rock climbing, snowmobiling, whatever your thing is. And I think a lot of us that enjoy kiting, we really find some sense of peace about doing this.
While others find excitement.
Basically, no trick is ever good until you get it caught on film, so no matter what you can do.
The ability to harness the wind and go out and ride and do things, and what draws most people, I think, to this sport is the ability to jump and do tricks and things like that. What's really amazing about kiting is that you don't need jumps or ramps or anything like that. You just send the kite and it'll lift you off the ice or water or whatever you happen to be on, and you can spin around and do tricks and hopefully land it. And you know, it's a lot of fun. It's always a challenge. There's always something new to learn.
Using any opportunity to get outdoors.
Pretty much whenever the wind blows.
And so that fire actually removes all the top growth that is present in the prairie from the previous growing season and returns all those nutrients back into the soil. A lot of people don't know that the prairie, most of the prairie's plants, all the plants you see above here is just a little part of the whole system below it. And there's prairie plants that their root systems go anywhere between 3 to 16 feet deep, and they're filtering water and any pollutants out of that.
Lots of planning and preparation go into ensuring that the burn is safe and effective.
Before we even get out here and are able to burn, it starts with me identifying where and when we're going to do that burn.
An event for the city that drew organizations from all over that are dedicated to reducing water usage and promoting good environmental stewardship.
We're here to talk to people about water, everything from groundwater to lakes and rivers and streams, what they can do to keep lakes clean, how they can do beautiful landscaping in their own yards that actually helps to protect the groundwater that we drink as well as the lakes that we fish from, and get people having fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really want to do their part. They just don't know how to make that first step, and we have a lot of great resources to help them make that first step.
Even for the youngest attendees.
Especially when you have families and children, you really want to get them interested in the environment early. And so we've brought, lots of different activities for kids to start making that connection to water as well. And there you go, you have your own little dragonfly.
There is a reason water conservation is important.
There's such a close connection actually here in this area for surface and groundwater that the water that runs off your property and everything it picks up really goes directly into your drinking water with just some minimal filtering. Watersheds are unique in that we don't follow political boundaries.
This next group of segment clips fall into a category I call craftsmanship, from big bridge building to intricate details in crafting a concertina. These Local Image stories sailed your way last year.
This bridge is almost 1 mile long. It's 5,079 feet in length. And it stretches from the west abutment on the Minnesota side near Highway 95 out to the Wisconsin abutment.
Well, today we brought some of the businesses from the Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation to see the progress on the St. Croix crossing and to hear directly from some MnDOT and Wisconsin engineers. We certainly always look at issues based on a trade area, and certainly even as far as Stillwater and like western Wisconsin would be considered our trade area. So in order to be able to get better access to goods and materials and employees. This is a great new resource once it's going to be completed.
Well, there's 400 workers on a given day on this project.
These things take time, and there's a lot of effort being invested in making this area a better place to do business.
Many of you probably heard recently that we're going to go into 2017. We thought we were going to get...
I got to making those flower pots, and we needed some flower pots, and all of a sudden I had 120 flower pots there, and then I had to scratch my head, and I said, well, we got to do something with this. We can't just keep on doing this. And so that's when Barb got the idea that it would be a good idea to probably try our luck at one of these fairs, or one of these weekly things that we go to everything now, and that we do right now. And it worked out, and then of course she in turn just increased everything in terms of, we started out with that, then she went into the butterfly baths, and then she went into stepping stones. And as you can see over here, we have an enormous number of molds, and I don't know how many things, but we must mold well over 150 things here, little birds to big pots to big vases.
If I were going to try to do something alone, that wouldn't be much fun. Well, Jim needs something that he can do that's busy and accomplishes something as well. So between the two of us, it's the perfect fit.
Angie and Jason Brown gave us this boat, and somebody had, I think, virtually given it to them for resale. But most of the time, these older boats, this is the 1973 Johnson, and it was taken care of moderately well, but not completely well, and so there's inevitable, in a boat that old, there's inevitable rot here and there, and so we turned the boat over and we cut it in half, and then we began to rebuild the bottom so that it's beautiful. If you want to crawl underneath here, you will see how beautiful it is. And then we flipped the boat over, put a new deck on it, new moldings, varnished everything, and have created, and Steve will show you, I think, what he's done with the bow, creating it so you can look into the boat. So we've got an open place in the boat, which I think will help people understand the construction of the boat.
Fletcher Driscoll, a man with a long history of fixing sailboats on the lake, has been tasked with leading the restoration.
I built my first concertina. I finished it in 1989. Well, I got started because I was a tool maker. I was a plastic and die casting bowl maker. And there was a fella in Minneapolis that he was doing some building. And he was a good repairman and just very knowledgeable. So I got to know him, and I'd go over there and visit. And then, you know, someplace along the line, I said, well, I'd probably like to make a few. So we started importing the reeds from Italy. It's strictly a hobby. This is not a business. This is something that I enjoy doing. We use basswood because it's light and it's strong. We try to make the instrument as light as possible because it just makes it easier to play. You know, you start adding up the cabinets, the covering, the engraving, the tuning, the bellows.
Opening a new business is definitely not all fun and games, unless, of course, your business is gaming. Here are some story clips featuring some local new businesses we visited in 2015.
One person that I was like, I wouldn't hang out with that guy outside of the game. You know, everyone else has been super awesome.
That's what gave Dan Pettit the inspiration for Your Mom's Basement while working late nights at Perkins.
We used to have a whole bunch of kids from Century College come over and play mostly Magic the Gathering, lots of other different games like that. And they would sit there all night and drink coffee and eat food, and I jokingly said to them, like, God, we should open up a shop that sells game supplies and food. We'd make a fortune.
An idea that has exploded in popularity.
Yes and no. It's nice that we're super busy, but we also have to turn people away because we don't have space, and that's not good. Because then you start getting the reputation, yeah, I don't go there because there's never a place to sit. It's always too busy. And you know, that's not good, because eventually that gets to be what you're known for, is just never having a place to set up. And we're trying to get rid of that.
The fallen in battle, the warriors that are slain in battle, half of them are taken to Valhalla to spend the rest of their days with Odin, drinking and carousing and fighting and just having a good time. We're looking at the Scandinavian Viking Empire and thought how fun it would be to create a blend of Scandinavian fare with Northern European food, all done in a Minnesota comfort food fashion. Well, we're trying to do some fun twists on some real traditional things like gravlax, which would be kind of a cured Norwegian salmon. We're using like a Scandinavian liqueur, akavit, that's paired with some salts and sugars and fresh dill, and it just kind of cures and soaks into the meat and makes for a really fun appetizer. It's a real staple in Norwegian culture.
Excited to be able to help families and bring that immediate relief that they feel, being able to talk to someone and just knowing where to start. A lot of families don't even know where to begin.
Lice is a more widespread issue than many parents know.
I'm shocked how many people have dealt with lice, that everybody's hush-hush about it. I didn't realize that so many families are affected by it.
And dealing with them can be quite a task. That's why Angie Anderson and Tom McKay decided to get into the business of lice removal.
Over the years, my friends who have young children have I shouldn't say all, but a majority of them, their children have been exposed to lice and been infested with lice. And I've watched them go through the painstaking process of trying to eradicate it with their children, and how overwhelming the whole process is.
They started Nitpickers, a full-service shop located in Maplewood that will check for lice.
Boom, there you go. The drinks are just one part of the whole thing, and it's about the whole experience, you know? And it's like, Terry built this bar. He's like been a dream of his for 3 years. You know.
For the Kellermans, drink maker master Johnny Michael's scientist-like approach to mixing cocktails is a perfect match, considering the practice of alchemy is to take something ordinary and turn it into something extraordinary.
Most of the design is what I did. Designing it, I mean, obviously we had restrictions because of the old buildings that we're in, and working with the 1906 building and the 1922 building and the I don't even know what year that part was built, and the 52 edition that's on here, and we had to make it all fit together and look like it was some kind of a cohesive steampunk deal.
So what is steampunk, you might ask? There are various styles of it, but an apt description, according to Terry, is what the past would look like if the future happens sooner. They say home is where the heart is, but what if the home isn't built yet, or it's a really tiny home, or a really old home? And what if it's a house that became homeless until it had a new place to call home? Well, there's a lot of heart in these 2015 home-based stories. Take a look. And we're obviously inside the home now. And what would this area be right outside the front door here, inside the front door?
In a typical Victorian architectural plan, this would be the entry parlor, if you will, or the front parlor, usually a greeting space. And then as you've sort of moved into the room, it's sort of two sections now, and would have been at that point as well, would have been more of a rear parlor. And so because we're at the lake and at the cottage, it's a little less formal, but still formal compared to some other parts of the house.
Sure. And what are some of the other parts of the house, and a kind of a list of what rooms are in this house? How many?
There are a number of rooms. It really doesn't always seem like that from the outside, but there are 3 bedrooms upstairs, as well as a room that's used as a bedroom down here, may or may not have always been. The middle room, which is what we call one of the big spaces, which was more of a dining room. Wafer Town Hall was built in 1885. The township commissioned an architect, which we firmly believe is Cass Gilbert, when he was very young and just getting started, to design a town hall for the purpose of their meetings. The township was formed in 1858, on the same day Minnesota became a state, and they had no place specifically to meet up until 1885. So for almost 30 years they were meeting in the hotels and resorts and different places. And so from 1885 until 2011, when the town board chose to no longer meet in this building, that was their home. Some are concerned with the idea that we're moving a historic building off of its site, and that is an issue generally, and typically it's not something I would necessarily advise.
In 2007, I was working for a large construction company, and they were doing some downsizing, so I was one of the ones that were let go. And so that left me out there, what do I do? And talking to headhunters and stuff, they said, you're going to have to do something to create your own work. I've been a carpenter since I was in my 20s, and so I knew a lot of the aspects of in and out of construction. I did a lot of remodeling on my own, and so I knew the plumbing and electrical and how to do that. Some people might consider jack of all trades, master of none type of philosophy. And so I decided, you know, what can I do with all this information that I know? And so that's how I got into tiny houses. I started building one.
Our contractor is Shaw Lundquist, and this will take approximately a year to complete construction.
This particular project is a special project in the sense of really understanding what the building is going to be used for. Our company's vision is building better lives, and by coming and listening and hearing the importance of this site, it really makes me understand that, you know, creating a home and a community for seniors to continue to stay in the community is really critical.
Well, I think it's really nice. It's something we've, of course, needed for a long time. I mean, we're right in that group of people who say, you know, we can't afford to stay in Mahtomedi after we retire if we don't have something like this.
This is a project that will allow the seniors here in Mahtomedi to continue to live in their community where they're close to the support network so that they can stay connected to the community and and have an enjoyable twilight year.
We got to meet some incredibly inspiring people on Local Image last year, including the young folks featured in these show segments.
So I just went throughout the day, and you know, I realized that when I first stepped out on the ice, you know, I was like, whoa, this is, you know, quite different, you know, and just shooting the puck, the whole net was off, and I told my coach, I was like, there's no way that I can do this, you know, I didn't want to let down my team, and, you know, I don't want to make a fool of myself because it's on national TV, or not national TV, but it's on FSN, and so I ended up taking myself out of the game. That's when I went to the hospital anyways, and it took them a couple of days until they actually found out what was wrong. They ended up doing a CT scan, and they ended up finding a cavernous hemangioma in my brainstem anyways. And so from there on, I basically had to have surgery. I'm pretty sure this was a Friday night, and I had to have surgery like a Monday or something like that. After the initial surgery, I was out of it for a couple of months, and basically when I came back with it, I had a bunch of complications as far as
there's a strong need for manufacturing and just engineering in general. We're falling behind.
The program is also supported by local industries.
Come on in.
I think it's a combination of things. I think industry has partly driven the need for this because they're having a hard time finding skilled employees.
But to come out to the sites, smell it, hear it, see people actually working it, not necessarily the owners of the company, but to see people doing the work, our students start to envision themselves in those roles and start bringing a little more meaning to their education and their planning.
I've toured many different companies and factories over the years, and I just want to see some more experiences and see if they have any job openings for the career I'm going to pursue.
This is actually a laminated beam that we spun down to a circle.
Mike's path took a turn just as he was entering high school.
I had brain cancer. It was...
I call our final grouping of segment clips from 2015 the Pay It Forward compilation, because the people featured and the efforts they put forth on behalf of others is what makes living in our communities so very special. So let's rewind these stories and play it forward for you right now. A lot of people came together to make this happen right here in the studio. Nate, can you kind of take us through what took place here that day when you recorded?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually spent a good part of the whole day here. We brought in, as I recall, several great players from around town and recorded the rhythm tracks, which pretty simple rhythm track. It was bass drums. I think we had a keyboard, piano, and acoustic guitar, organ, and so we did that during the morning hours, as I recall, and then we had set up a session for Paul Peterson to track the lead vocal. I think we did that maybe in the afternoon. I can't remember. Yep. And then we had several singers from around town, people that really are extraordinary singers in their own right, and boy, we got them together and taught them the parts, and that came together pretty quick, which was really fun. We just brought them right here in this room and tracked them together as a choir.
It is now the 3rd annual Country Rock for a Cause, and it was a benefit festival that my wife and I really put together to support the Minnesota Military Family Foundation.
And what does that foundation do for our military families?
Yeah, it's quite a bit. You know, I think, everyone's first look is to support the troops and support the soldiers and the veterans, but I don't think many people often automatically associate really the sacrifices that, their internal families might be making. And when we were looking for a foundation to represent for the Country Rock for a Cause, they really stood out. A, their efficiency on the dollar and what they're able to do with the money they raise, and B, the programs they have in place. It's really based around protecting and making sure the families of our soldiers are safe and comfortable in their financial situation, so that our folks who are overseas really don't have anything to worry about back home. Our boys and girls who are overseas serving the military really should be focusing on the job at hand, and hopefully the MMFF provides them with a lot of peace of mind, knowing that their families will be taken care of, whether it's...
Sparks flew that day.
Beautiful doll, you great big beautiful doll.
The Silver Harmony singers sang their hearts out with oldies but goodies. Songs of love and relationships. Silly songs.
Yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today.
Holiday songs that maybe sparked a childhood Christmas memory. And patriotic songs that perhaps sparked memories unspoken.
It's estimated by the VA that there's as many as 20,000 veterans with PTSD within a 250-mile radius of where we are right now. Right? 20,000.
Veterans like Christian, who was diagnosed shortly after returning from his deployment in 2005 while still serving in the Army.
I was pretty angry, and it was hard doing the job that we were doing.
Since January of 2015, Believe It has taken a different approach to helping veterans with PTSD cope with the everyday struggles they face.
So our overall goal is to provide service dogs to veterans. And in a 3-year time frame, we hope to be generating, graduating 25 teams of dogs and veterans a year.
Giving them tools to help navigate everyday tasks that can be stressful and agitating for those with PTSD.
We hope you enjoyed this look back at some of what we shared on Local Image in 2015, and we invite you to visit the OLTV YouTube page to watch the full version of these stories along with previous Local Image shows. And you can share your thoughts and story ideas with us by liking the Local Image Facebook page. Most importantly, tune in each month right here for more great local stories. And as always, I do thank you for watching Local Image. But before we do, let's take another look and dang it. Okay.
All right, but I think this is the longest one.
This is quiet time.
Yep.
Quiet time, people.
All right, here we go.
And we invite you to join us as we walk in the Oakdale Summerfest Parade. So that's it. No, on this July edition of Local. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
New Year. Thanks for joining me for this first installment. Okay. Clips fall into a category the Oakdale Summerfest Parade here. Oh my God. Okay. Route including my friends here at SCC. I'm gonna take two. Also introducing you to some special, and also introducing you to some special guests. Okay, ready? It's your taste buds. And if you're a Scandinavian, I'm sorry. I saw that truck, please, your taste buds. And if you're Scandinavian fare, can I pick it up with, and if Scandinavian, I'm not wrong. And if Scandinavian fare with a Vikings flair, I did it to myself. Now, someone who knows how to music and to the military family, Minnesota. I caught up with Noah Alexander, lead, shysta. And so too is the man who hired, new to the city of Lake Elmo firefighter, oh my gosh. There we go, ready? Okay, for this Local Image, as you heard, the training facility is, as you heard, okay, here we go. And if Scandinavian fare with a Vikings flair piques your interest, then a new Valhalla, okay, it's too much, well, let's just start over.